Glad to have you. I am here with Johnny Cooke on sugar and spice and things that are not so nice. And I am honored. I heard so much about you, but I want you to tell me about Johnny Cooke.
Well,
The past, the present, and the future.
I guess the past is so, a lot of the stories are similar as mine. Young black male growing up in the inner city without any direction can be actually detrimental. So, got involved with selling of drugs, and I didn't have a father. Again, I'm a single parent home, the youngest of six. Mom worked 16 hours a day. I really did what I wanted from the point of 9.
Did you have older siblings?
Absolutely, but by 13 it was bigger than everybody in the house. So
Oh, really?
It's not much.
One of those
tell
growth
me.
spurts. Right?
Over the summer I grew like 2 inches.
Wow. Okay.
And it was not much they can tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had their own lives as well.
Now, what allured you into the drugs? Was it siblings or your friends?
No, the love of money, greed.
Okay.
Again, the youngest of 6. There's not a lot of money in the household.
Mm-hmm.
So you want things, nobody tells you, you gotta work hard to get them.
Right.
You're loyal to those in the street who have it, and you figure you have to do what they do in order to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And thus started a pretty, for me it was a long battle with, the love of street, the love of money and morality.
So in this
the morals
love,
that I were taught.
so in this love, was you happy in the streets? Was you
Oh,
happy
absolutely not.
making the money?
Absolutely not. It gives you a false sense of pride.
Okay.
You're in love with the money. You're in love with the reputation that comes with that. However, there were a lot of sleepless nights worrying about everything under the sun. When is it going to end? Meaning the police. Are you going to get killed in a shootout? Or your work is going to run off with your money, so on and so forth. So,
In those thoughts, did you ever think about the worries and the concerns that your mom had for you?
oh, absolutely. That was the the proverbial good and bad angel
Right.
in your ear. But enough Hennessy and marijuana and the quiet any voice you have.
Okay. I wouldn't know about that. No, all my years, I have never drank, never smoked, never done drugs. So to hear your story, that's why I'm asking all these questions.
Drugs wasn't, for me, it wasn't an option. I learned from the people who sold drugs uptown Manhattan, and I watched, intravenous drug users back in the 80s, and that was pretty frightening to actually witness the process of getting
And I'm
high.
glad you said that because I had some debates early on in the years that it's really a belief that a drug dealer is not always a drug user. And people believe, it's just some people just believe that in order for you to be a drug dealer, you have to be a drug user.
Absolutely.
That's not true.
Alcohol, in my mind,
Mhm.
and in my experience and in my knowledge, alcohol is the worst drug known to man because it's legal.
Uh-huh.
However, a heroin addict can detox over heroin in a quiet room a few days by itself. Alcohol, you have to be medically detoxed.
Wow.
So that tells me one is worse than the other.
Right.
But again, from the time I was maybe 11 until I was 24, that was my life. And you can call it a bright light moment. I'm sitting there with a three-day-old son,
Mhm.
and my first thought was, I am responsible for this life.
Right.
And I knew that, I didn't know too many people who retired from selling drugs and walked away with a whole bunch of money and a great 401k and all this stuff. So I had to, I guess I was at a crossing road at that point. And so I decided it was more important for me to be a dad and to have this facade of a life. And so I made the decision to just leave.
Cold turkey.
A bit of both.
Yeah.
But, in between there's jail, incarceration, so on and so forth.
Right.
But at this point I said, I grew up without a dad, and that troubled me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so didn't want that for my son. I knew I had to break the cycle somewhere, because fast forwarding 4 years after this day, I met my dad for the first time, and he
Wow.
grew up without a father.
Okay.
And so at that point, I knew I had to break the cycle. I watched my mother struggle her whole life, never complain.
And your dad grew up without a father, and
Right.
probably just history after itself.
Right.
One thing I could say about, in just my experience, I've never dealt drugs, but some of my loyal and good friends are drug dealers. That you guys, I mean, they have a loyalty to them when it's with people that they love.
Oh, absolutely.
So I never judge a person who deals with drugs deals drugs or sells drugs, because they, like you said, they see that as a way of surviving, having that income to help raise a family and to survive.
And here's what's important, and what was key for me. I didn't know there was nothing different for me to do.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Nobody told me, hey, you can do something different, or you're smart enough to succeed in a different area.
Right.
You know, so that's what the guys in my neighborhood did. I can remember going to jail at 19 and thinking, this was normalcy for a young black man my age.
Wow.
Like most people think, you know what I mean, going to college is normal.
Mm.
I didn't know anything about college.
Right.
You know, when I was in school, I was a good student. I got wonderful grades, but school was boring to me.
Mm.
And I didn't see, you know, I didn't see the immediate benefits of it. You know what I mean? So that wasn't an option.
So with that being said, now that you have transitioned from that phase of life to this phase of life, are you now providing resources or opportunities for this generation and educating them and helping them in that void that you have?
That's a catch-22, because I will provide that for anyone who wants to listen.
Okay.
For anyone who wants help.
Okay.
You just can't approach an individual in the street nowadays and be like, look, you're messing up, I think you should go down this path. You know what I mean? With all the other influences and vices out there now, you don't know if you talk to a gang member or some, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, I could remember, you know, my neighbors would snatch me by my ear and bring me home to my mother.
Right.
And today you snatch a kid by his ear and bring him home to the mother. The mother's probably gonna hit you.
But
Don't
see,
touch
that's the
my
gangster
child.
in me, Mr. Cooke, because that's what I still do. I'll snatch him up like, look, there's a better way. Come and let me talk to. And maybe that's just my my courageousness to say I want to save a life, or let me show you there is a better way. But you're right. I never think about the fear of consequences, but there's some kids out there, they need that tough love.
Absolutely, and I agree with you 100%. And that message is perceived different from a woman than a man. And that's the issue.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Respect.
We're raised to not show emotion, and you know what I mean, and never go to your brother for anything, which is totally the opposite of what it should be.
Right.
But a man is supposed to be strong, handle all his problems. Don't show him up. That's just utter nonsense.
Yeah.
And so, me approaching the same child as you, I think you get a better result.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good nugget there. Yeah, I never looked at it that way. Like I said, that's just like.
But with my own children, they have two choices in my house.
What's that?
College or die. I don't care which one they choose. I'll help them.
Yo, that's strong. College or die.
In my mind, that's our only freedom is an education.
Wow. See, mine is college or out.
No.
You like just straight up die, like. I know what you mean, not literally, but I hear what you're saying.
It's the way you set it up from an early age. I have 4 children. I've hit one time in his life.
You hit only one. Wait, you don't.
One time in his life.
You don't believe in.
I do. I do believe in spankings. There's just no need for it because they respect me.
Oh, okay.
As a father.
So they never
And
talked
there's
back. They never was rebellious.
There's a tad bit fear there as
Oh, okay.
well. That plays a part in it as well. But they have to understand there are consequences and repercussions for their actions, and that the young Afro-American, so they have to try hard, and putting yourself in the system just makes your struggle even much harder.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Right.
Makes
Have
sense.
you ever taken any young person to say, scare straight type of?
I have quite a few young people who work for me who are ex-felons.
Oh, okay.
And so, there's an opportunity there. I've actually set a few of them up doing the same thing I do. Showed them how to start a business.
So let's talk about what is it that you do?
I actually work for, the big banks, lending, institutions, Wells Fargo, Bank of America.
Can I borrow some money?
Like any other bank, there will be an interest rate attached to it.
Okay, okay.
And so, once I handle their foreclosures in different states, and, it's pretty easy business to run, as long as you have people executing the work. Like, I have guys working in Maryland right now. I haven't been in Maryland all year. You know, I'll be there Saturday though.
So you in business and what you're doing now is still kind of like that
Similar to what-
drug dealer setup. You know, you
Absolutely.
got people running business for you. You're in one location, they're in another location, but they're making moves and making things happen.
100%.
That's good.
100%.
So that's a good way to let the next person know, or this generation know now, that you can still keep your same business concept
That's how I
that
got
you
into
roll in the
business for
street
myself.
and just make it legal.
Yes, that's how I got into business for myself. When I decided to make a change, I looked at what I had the most experience in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to school for business
Okay.
to legally see how it's done.
Okay.
And once I did the research, I worked in Manhattan for a while. I ran, nightclub, restaurant, made him a ton of money. But I'm still very unhappy because at this point I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking, but I'm selling more liquor than they can produce. And the hours, I got divorced because of that job. So the
Oh, we
hours
don't
were
want,
crazy.
that's another show.
Right.
We gotta talk about that one later.
The hours were
You gotta come back and we can just have a topic itself about that where.
But my ex-wife is actually my best friend.
Well, that's
You know
good.
what I mean? We're still great friends. It's like I still buy her cars, but we just haven't been together in
I need a best
13
friend like
years.
you.
You know what I mean? Well, I have a different take on life. If God put you in a position to help somebody you care about, why should you?
That's good. So you are working with lenders, or you are the lender?
No, I work with lenders. Like,
Okay.
once they foreclose on a property, we'll go and change the lots. Send them pictures of how the property looks.
Mhm.
Give them bids to repair everything, clean it out, whatever, demo it, anything they want.
And then you sell.
My other company sells it. I'm not supposed to, but, because then they'll say it's cornering the market, so I have a company set me and my son up.
Okay.
And because one company can't do it all.
Correct. So family business.
Yeah, me and my oldest son, we own it, and we have a list of realtors who list yards, so.
Well, that's good. So right now you're leaving a legacy. You're setting up a legacy for your kids.
But isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
Oh, we don't care about what you're supposed to do. It's what's happening.
Yes,
And how many
absolutely.
black men can say that they are in business with their family, leaving something for their children to carry on once they transition out of this life? And not only that, I mean, I know I work with my children on the entertainment production side, and it feels great. I mean, why can't we do it? The Italians do it, the restaurants.
do it
The
better.
Jews do it.
They do it better.
They do.
I've been privileged to pick their brains as well, and most Orthodox Jews believe that the male sons deserve an education, and the business once they finish their education. Imagine if we can do that for every black child.
That would be great. And then it also would keep them occupied and educate them for their future and something to pass on.
Absolutely, and we all know that this is a capitalistic society.
Mhm.
You don't have a voice unless you have capital, and you're able to lobby politicians and get your bills passed.
Well, why real estate? Why didn't you go, well, you already said why you didn't stay in the nightclub business and.
Right.
So why real estate?
Real estate is it's like gold. You know what I mean? Before the crash and even after the crash, it's probably the best investment you can make.
Did you survive the crash?
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Great.
I again, I'm around bankers a lot, so I know, if I can't buy it cash, I don't. So, you know, if you own the property, it'll be devalued, but you still have the opportunity to hold on to it and not have a mortgage that you're gonna pay off and be in an underwater mortgage. Like most people who bought between 2006 and 2000, I'd say 8 or 9, once they finish paying off the house, they're in an underwater mortgage, meaning the house is not valued at what they just paid off.
Right.
So most people have walked away from it, and thus we have the crash we have now.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have friends in real estate that gave me the warning, like the bubble's about to pop, get out. So I was like, those are cold words. Like, what do you mean the bubble's about to pop? What bubble? And so I was fortunate to sell my home and get out of it before the crash. But what I want to ask you is, I know for me, when I sit and hear people via podcast, via radio, or when I'm at seminars or panels, it's the in-between that people want to know about. So you talk about your success, you talk about how you climbed the ladder, but people don't talk about the in-between. So you cold turkey stopped dealing drugs and you focused on your family, then you went to school.
Yeah, I had a few dollars. However, at this point I'm on parole.
Okay.
And they asked me if I wanted to go to school, I could work at McDonald's. They had a connection with McDonald's or whatever, and I did the math, and I think at that time minimum wage was $7.75 an hour. And ego and pride said, well,
I'm not flipping no burgers.
How are you gonna take care of 2 children on that?
Right.
So that wasn't an option. And I've been told, like even when I was in a prison setting, they would often tell me, dude, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. You sound like you're smarter than most of the people here. Like, why do you sell yourself short? So at this point I started to believe that. And I said, let me give this a try. You know, worst case scenario, I can always go back to McDonald's.
Right.
And I gave it a shot, and when I was in school, I gave it everything I had, like it was the only thing left available for me, and I could do nothing else. This does not.
Okay, so
work
let's
out.
go back to that in between now. What school, what did you take? Did you take accounting? Did you take finance? Like, what made you say, okay, not McDonald's, but school?
Hudson County Community College, I started
Okay.
business administration.
Okay. And then you got your degree in business administration.
Right, and then I went from there, I worked, I did an internship at a company in Manhattan. However, prior to that, while I was in school, I did construction. You know, extra money, pay the bills, and with that construction experience, I literally worked 7 days a week for like maybe 90 days, 2 courses online, 2 classes a week, like I had a busy life. And it just showed how bad I wanted to succeed at what I do. And I barely got to see my children, and this started the spiral of my relationship going bad. Because in retrospect, I focused on more of what I needed to do as opposed to both simultaneously.
Wow, that's so you just basically had a focus, you had your eye on the mark, and you kept your grind and didn't stop.
Absolutely, and I'm still that way today.
Well, that's good.
I'm still that way today. It's just something that I have to accept about myself. You know what I mean? Anything that I get involved in, I get locked on it and sometimes obsessed with it.
And so for the words of friends in my previous relationships, that's what messes up relationships, because you don't have that balance. I can say I had to be very true with myself, and when I evaluated myself, I realized that I was like 80% work and 20% personal. So that balance is way can come out of a struggle.
Oh, definitely.
You can survive, and you can turn your life around and be great in what you do. And your story is definitely a story that a lot of, not just males, but men and women need to hear and know. And you are that example.
In between running a business and trying to manage, I have one kid in California in school, one in Maryland, two in Maryland actually, and then one in Michigan. So in between work, I'm in a different city every weekend seeing a child. So.
But you have like 4 kids in college?
No, 2 grown, 2 young.
Oh, okay.
I have a 22-year-old, 25-year-old, an 8 and a 3-year-old.
Dang, man, what a gap.
Yes. But it is absolutely.
So no wonder you like running there.
Yeah, but I get along with their mothers great.
Good.
Even though we're separated. In my mind, if the mother struggles, my child struggles with it. So.
And then coming from a single family home, knowing that your mother was holding it down and raising 6 kids, you've been there. So you are, I see you're determined to not have your children be fatherless.
Oh, absolutely.
And you want to be in their lives no matter what.
That is one of the things that drive me even today.
Good.
To ensure that they have an opportunity at a good future. So when I think of, if there's a house I can purchase, my 3-year-old is a landlord.
Good.
And some of the money goes into his Gerber Royal Plan for college. And the rest goes into a trust fund, what he doesn't use to maintain the building.
Nice.
And so it helps me to sleep at night.
Good.
When people commend me for being this great dad, no, I'm just a regular dad. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. But they don't see enough of it, so they think I'm doing something special. I'm really not.
And you can understand that, though, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
So I am a producer and a filmmaker, and have you ever thought about or considered doing your version of Flip This House or Flip My Business?
No, but I've had some other.
Flip some.
I've had some other ideas in mind.
Okay.
Like the Real Housewives of Section 8 or Ratchet TV. I think that would be more. I'm
Man.
comedic. I enjoy
That's
laughing.
funny.
So.
Have you identified like who that talent would be? You just would like to see
Right
that on
now, since
TV.
Pick a few.
That's funny. That's funny. But no, this is great. It's great meeting you. Great story, and I would like to follow you more and just continue to see your success.
100%. I think it's my duty to try to be an example, and if I can affect one life, then it's all well worth it. So
That's good.
I'm very humbled and grateful for the honor.
Good. So there you have it with